This might sound like an allegory dreamed up by George Orwell for my Velshi book club, but it's not. This was a real tweet posted on the official White House Twitter page. AI alligators sporting ice hats and a man assumed to be Donald Trump standing behind them. Alligator Alcatraz, make America safe again. Deep in the swamplands of Florida, far from civilization, is a virtually abandoned 39-square-mile airfield. It's surrounded by deadly wetlands and predators of the marshy Everglades, pythons, swarms of mosquitoes, and hundreds of alligators that roam the area. This is now the site of a new migrant detention center dubbed Alligator Alcatraz. According to Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida, the facility will have the capacity to accommodate about 3,000 detainees when it's fully operational. The first group of migrant detainees arrived on Wednesday. The facility did not exist even last week. It was hastily constructed in a matter of days. Florida's Attorney General, James Uthmire, says the facility will mostly consist of tents and trailers. No brick and mortar construction required, which seems not great for Florida's stifling summer heat and humidity and a hurricane season that's predicted to be worse than past years. The roughly 11,000-foot airstrip, which has been used mainly for training purposes, is going to serve as Florida's private airstrip to fly detainees into the facility and ship them out on deportation flights. As Uthmire proudly puts it, it's a one-stop shop to carry out Donald Trump's mass deportation agenda. As for security, according to the Associated Press, the facility will be equipped with more than 200 security cameras, more than 28,000 feet of barbed wire, and 400 security personnel. But President Donald Trump, Governor DeSantis, and other proponents of Alligator Alcatraz are counting on the isolation of the area and its natural habitat to further boost security, which is where the alligator cops come in.
They have a lot of bodyguards and a lot of cops that are in the form of alligators. You don't have to pay them so much. But I wouldn't want to run through the Everglades for long. It might be as good as the real Alcatraz site. You know, it could be. Well, that's a spooky one too, isn't it? Huh? That's a tough site.
With the Alligator Alcatraz, is the idea that if some illegal immigrants escape, they just get eaten by an alligator or a snake or something?
I guess that's the concept. This is not a nice business. I guess that's the concept. If snakes are fast, but alligators are, we're going to teach them how to run away from an alligator, okay? If they escape prison, how to run away. Don't run in a straight line. Run like this. And you know what? Your chances go up about 1%.
The President of the United States delighting in the prospect of immigrants being eaten by alligators. A sick and twisted fantasy come to life. In a tweet, Benny Johnson, a MAGA YouTuber, likened it to Jurassic Park, but in a cool way, I guess.
It ain't nothing cool about it. Prison is prison and jail is jails and detention facilities is detention facilities. There ain't nothing cool about it. It ain't nothing nice about it. I would figure that the Democrats would rail against this. Like it's getting kind of old. This right here is what it is. As long as the alligators are outside the facility and not inside the facility with the detainees, what's the problem? That's just some shit to hype you up. The fence is there to keep the alligators away from the detainees. And if the detainees end up on the other side of the fence, then they're fair game for the alligators to bite or eat or whatever the alligators are there for. But we sitting here acting like it's a big old sad end of the world deal as Democrats. They're losing in every way. They got nothing else to do. And now they worried about how the detainees are going to be held and all that kind of stuff. When we have American citizens who are being wronged in the jail system in the United States of America, it's inhumane inside the United States prison system. You need to get a team or a coalition together and go around Democrats and look into the jail systems where they're housing black men and when they're housing Hispanic men who are citizens of the United States and when they're housing poor white men who they've convicted for various crimes, because that's the majority of what makes up the prison system in the United States. And it is not humane. And you don't hear MSNBC donating 6 minutes or 8 minutes of their commentary to that because it's bullshit. They want you to believe they really care and that Trump is inhumane and whatever you want to think, mosquitoes, alligators, and all of the like. But to come into the United States of America illegally because one of the political parties has given you a green light and made it okay, and the other party has just stood by all these decades and just allowed it to happen, gives one the sense that it's one of those rules that isn't enforced. And then when you get a guy in to enforce it, then what happens? They're knocking a holding facility. There's no way. And they were able to build it in a few days. And that's like really a benefit. It's already got the land. It's already got the location. All they got to do is and an airstrip. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. I can't understand how they can expect the United States to be overburdened in their prison facilities with these detainees, or even in county and city jails. It could just easily overwhelm just by arresting illegal immigrants, as they say, the nonviolent ones. That's why they don't want those ones touched, because most of those people do have jobs. Most of those people are already in the process of being exploited by the United States government by allowing their businesses to hire them with no penalty. Have you heard anything about the farmers or any of the corporations being penalized? It's all like the folks are hiding, and they don't even have to come to work at all. Hide. I should go to the human resource office of every one of those companies and open them books up. So who you got working here? Who is this? And are they legal citizens? That's what you do. And whether you deport those people or not, those businesses need to start paying because that's where the attraction is. That's what's bringing those people over here, is that our companies are exploiting them. And the Democrats have not said the word exploit once. They just want them to continue what they've been doing, being exploited, being cheated, being treated bad, and being put in a permanent cast where their kids who are born American citizens will, move forward and do well and be true citizens of the country. But they're sacrificing just coming over here. But the United States makes it easy and allows them, hey, if you're willing to sacrifice your life and be exploited for the good of your kids, that's a step in the right direction for those folks. It's almost an unwritten agreement. When Trump bowed down and started talking about, we could probably, lighten it up for this industry and slow it down for this, and then you're messing up all the way around. Who you're going to deport and what's going on with this? When you start picking and choosing, it's never a good thing in this society. But alligator, Alcatraz, whatever they settle on, and I think alligator Alcatraz is quite appropriate because the Alcatraz part gives you it's inescapable, and why the alligators. There's no reason for us to keep overprotecting these illegal immigrants. There's no reason for us to keep overburdening our own lives, our own quality of lives for a group of people who came into our country illegally. I blame the United States government ultimately, because if we need that many people in this country to work in these certain industries and they're willing to do it, we need to allow that to happen, but at the right rate of pay. We need to pay them the right rate of pay. We need to start at the beginning so it don't get out of hand. So you don't bring in millions and millions and millions of underpaid, underprivileged, abused workers. And then if somebody ever flipped a switch and changed the law, and I wish that's what Trump would have done, because they keep talking about it's going to cost so much and we can't deport them all, and using that as an excuse. It's just so many of them that the Democrats allowed to just flow into the country. So now it seems insurmountable, and we can never get them all out. Well, what we need to do, I'm telling you, is just give them amnesty. And once they're citizens and they get to report to work, go back to your jobs. You will not be fired. That's what the government need to be watching. Make sure once they turn to full citizens, that these companies who have thousands of employees who are undocumented and they don't have to worry about getting them health care. They let that be their problem once they leave their gates. But when they come in there, they underpay them and don't give them health care. And the Democrats are complicit. And they were trying to act like they're so humane. Oh, we can't have them sleeping on the other side of the fence from alligators. Why? That's more humane than what you guys are doing to them. That's horrible shit. And fight for their citizenship. And sit down with Trump and see if he would be willing to lock down that border. And let's give some amnesty. Just make that not an issue. So then we can identify the people who come in after that and lighten up them laws and give these people a true opportunity to become citizens. But don't let illegal immigrants run around our country. So we have to argue over whether they're violent or nonviolent. We should be arguing over whether they're legal or illegal and any of that other stuff in between. Someone could be living an undercover life of 20, 30 years of sexually assaulting folks or murdering people, or just a habitual kleptomaniac, and it might not seem like a big deal to anybody unless he comes in your store. So all these things need to be taken care of under the guise of citizenship. Then you can do all those illegal things, but you will be punished as a citizen of the United States. And some kind of amnesty needs to be given up so this bullshit can stop. So they can quit pretending to us that they really care, that they like these illegal immigrants and they want them here. They're about to find out with the passing of this big, beautiful bill that some of that money that you were getting from the federal government to pay for your illegal immigrants, sanctuary cities, ain't going to be there no more. And with the money not being there anymore, are you going to still want them there as much as you did? Are you going to be able to afford them? Are you going to be able to take tax dollars from other things in your budget and put it over to illegal immigration and see how your constituents handle that? See how the people who voted you into place feel when they start going, gosh, I mean, sanctuary cities already look like shit, and then they're going to make them worse. They're going to make the homelessness worse. If you live anywhere near a downtown section of a sanctuary city, and in some cases, you don't even have to be near downtown. It overflowed into the communities. Long lines of RVs parked up with a whole bunch of homeless people in them because that's what the economy has come to. The illegal immigrants are living better in the United States than our homeless population.
Welcome to Alligator Alcatraz. The entrance here is a 30-foot tall wall. None of this was here 5 days ago. It's got razor wire on the top, just unbelievably impressive. Not a fun place to be put in prison. You do not want to go here. I'm getting swarmed by mosquitoes right now, and we saw at least 30 alligators on our way in driving. It is in the middle of truly nowhere. It took us an hour, 4-hour drive to get here today. It's crazy.
So sick, bro. I'd also like to point out that the, quote, 30-foot wall is a wired fence. These potentially...
Now, why do you point that out? Does a wired fence make it any more inhumane than a just a brick wall with wire on top? I think there aren't any prisons in the United States that don't have wire around the top of the fences. That's what they do. Keep people in, or, you know, makes it a little harder for them to get out. That razor wire looped around the top. But for him to slip that in there like that just pisses me off. What are you saying? And I might add a 30-foot razor. Yeah, that's what you put around prisons. And hopefully it will deter the folks inside from trying to become the folks on the outside and getting hurt by alligators or worse. There's snakes and all kind of things out there. But I just don't like the buttons they try to push and the support that they get under false pretenses. People should have a clear understanding what they're supporting and not be tricked and fooled into fighting for something that is ultimately going to wreck us. We are putting money on the deficit with every administration. Every one of them's budget is built to get the economy booming and get money flowing and get the stock market up. And at what detriment? The deficit. Always has to take on a little bit here and a little bit there. And we're not going in the right direction. They need to each be taking a little chunk out of the deficit and bringing it down. And you can't do it all at once, but bring it down little at a time. Bring it down little at a time. And having that amount of illegal immigrants in our country improperly Ain't going to work. And we can't treat them like citizens and neighbors and our friends or none of that. Make them citizens. Make it happen. This has to change so that we're not talking about them being treated inhumanely. We know what the standard is in this country for citizens in this country, and there will be nothing to worry about in the million. When you get that large amount of people as illegal immigrants in your country, it's going to have a negative impact. It is not going to be a positive impact. There's going to be beautiful stories that will come out of this, but as a whole, this is a disaster, and there's no way anybody can look at it any different. Especially when we got the prison system in the United States that he could have done a 2-hour documentary on, and it would have been filled more information and things that we all need to know or would like to know on the outside, because we're constantly seeing our United States citizens going to prison. What's going on with them once they walk through those double doors in the back of the court? Is that it? No, it's a whole lot of stuff in there that they don't want you to see and that nobody cares about. They probably don't even give a damn. And this right here is just so that they can garner your support, so they can try to get more money for the illegal immigrants to help the businesses who exploit them. That's the bottom line. Anybody who think it's anything different than that, if you think the Democrats are so nice trying to keep these people here, and they're not. They're not trying to keep them here the right way, and they never have. Both of those parties need to sit down and figure something out for immigration. I wish Trump would do it. Oops, the big beautiful bill is taking care of it, but I wish he would have been able to do it with some help from the Democrats. But that's what you get when you refuse to agree, when you refuse to compromise, and then the other party takes power, and then you're saying you don't want us to help. No, we don't need you now. When things were different and we were willing to sit down and negotiate with you, like when you were in power, we didn't hear this. What a difference a few months make. He's 7 months in, folks. Everything the Democrats have been telling us up to this point is not right. They've been telling us that the party ain't strong enough. They ain't going to hold together. They ain't going to pass none of his agenda and blah, 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 blah. And everything they say has been wrong. And alligator Alcatraz 2 weeks ago was just a thought, just an idea in the back of somebody's head. And they have already received their first detainees. Somebody ain't messing around. That's the kind of action and expedience we need to see from the Democrats. We need to see things move. We need to see things happen and quit being lied to and bullshitted and scared, trying to scare us and all this shit. Young people believe this. There has never been a time and we know that the crime bill back in the 90s screwed up a whole bunch of folks' lives when there could have been a different approach, as opposed to prison and high sentences for certain type of crimes for certain type of people and that kind of thing. And after the realization, and in at least 2 presidential campaigns, we've had people who participated in that crime bill, the Clintons and the Biden, and they both admit, they went too far. It was a mistake. But is that if you realize that and you're able to open your mouth up in front of a camera and a microphone and say it, but you're not willing to do nothing about it. You're not willing to say, and as a result of that, because most of the people in America probably be mad at you. They'd be like, what? You're going to walk what back? They'd be pissed. So you have to just apologize and just leave it the way we made a mistake. We're not going to try to fix it though. And this is why this is so foreign to me. To see the Democrats fighting the way they are for these illegal immigrants and how they're housed and processed after illegally entering the country. It's not a good look. Not when you are supposed to be the party that this black group of people line up behind, and you have never, ever taken that kind of an approach for the housing that black men have had to endure in prison in the United States of America. It's kind of messed up.
Torturous conditions for undocumented immigrants are being monetized. It's as depraved as you can imagine. The Republican Party of Florida pushed out this campaign email last week saying in part, quote, "The feds have green-lit alligator Alcatraz, Florida's gator-guarded, python-patrolled prison for illegal aliens who thought they could game the system. Surrounded by miles of swamp and bloodthirsty wildlife, this ain't no vacation spot. It's a one-way ticket to regret for criminals."
Prison's never been a vacation spot, and we all know this. And if anybody's making funny T-shirts or whatever, believe me, been there, done that. We seen it. It ain't nothing new, and it's very horrible to be relegated down to a place where people look at you like you're in a special class or a special place in this society, and that's what we have been. And I'm just proud to see the Democrats fight as hard as they're fighting for these illegal immigrants, because I know they can. It just shows me that they have the capability. They just have never had the desire for any other group that I've seen. You know, I mean, they go hard in the paint for certain little causes and certain things that happen amongst some of their groups. But when it comes down to strengthening our families, giving our black men the ability to raise their children and be around them while they're growing up, as opposed to snatching an entire life away because of the environments that we're raised in, because of the lack of opportunities and the lack of benefits, and the things that are there or were put there for us are being overwhelmed, shut down, and overtaken by the high saturation of illegal immigrants. It doesn't help us. And if people think that we're not competing with the legal immigrants, if we didn't have the amount of illegal immigrants in the country that we do, what would we be doing with the money that's being spent on them? And if anybody is saying, oh, no money's being spent on them, it doesn't even change anything, then we shouldn't be worried about the big, beautiful bill then. But we're worried about it because they need the government's resources to make some of these sanctuary cities work, and they still don't work. Look how they look. If you could just go on the internet after this video and look around in Seattle and Los Angeles and New York and Chicago, look in Detroit, look in these sanctuary cities. And look at these black politicians running them into the ground by trying to do too much for folks who haven't received citizenship, and without turning around and telling their party, we got to do something about these people. We have to do something for these people. They just keep trying to exploit them for the businesses, for that fascist United States duopoly.
Criminals who'll wish they'd self-deported. And then there's the option to snag your swag because, yes, of course, they're selling merch. They're always selling merch. For just $15, you can have your very own alligator Alcatraz beer koozie. There's nothing funny about this. This is sadistic glorification of human pain and suffering. These policies and the celebration of them are meant to impose incredible anguish on thousands of humans. And if you think they're just going to target the most dangerous criminals, think again. From the start, the Trump administration has said ICE would focus on the, quote, worst of the worst, end quote. But according to analysis by the Washington Post, more than half of those removed from the country since January 2nd do not have a criminal conviction. What's more, as arrests increase, the share of detained migrants with a criminal conviction has been dropping.
It seems like overwhelmingly these are wonderful people. Seems like they don't have very much in the criminal files to really hold them from being United States citizens. So make them United States citizens already. Why do we keep hearing how wonderful they are? And if they are so damn wonderful, why ain't the politicians making them citizens of the United States? If all they are is a short walk from our border and they're here, why don't we just make them citizens? I have a problem with them being here as illegal immigrants. I want them to be here as legal citizens so that they have the same documentation and they're under the same jurisdiction of the United States government that the rest of us are. I couldn't walk around here undocumented. If all black men just became undocumented in about a week, how do you think they'd respond to it? Do you think they'd just be like, hey, those are your neighbors. Hey, leave them alone. They're just out walking their dogs. They're minding their own business. No, they see black men where that they ain't got no understanding of your background or where you came from or what you might do. They're going to fix that quick. And it's unfortunate that these illegal immigrants have to wait on a guy like Trump to come in and break the rhythm that everybody is taking as the norm, as being okay, instead of snapping out of it and saying, hey, you know what? That isn't good for us. That isn't going to help us as a people. That's not going to help our society, bringing in a bunch of illegal immigrants. And the majority of them are not seeking asylum, I guess, in a factual way. They're lying about we're seeking asylum because they know what to say to get in if they get caught. Oh, you can't deport me. They'll kill me where I'm from. Well, what part are you from? They know the dangerous parts of Mexico. They're from there. There's no proof of where these people are from. They're undocumented, truly. They're not handing you IDs and all that. You just got to take them for who they are. What's your name? Dangerous stuff. But that's what we allow to flood in our country by the millions just to satisfy the hunger that these companies and corporations have to abuse these folks. And the Democrats was feeding them. And Trump's breaking it up. And now we're in the middle of a bunch of people about to be deported. With the passing of the big, beautiful bill, some things are about to change, but they're not going to change immediately. This stuff is laid. By the time we get to the midterms, you guys are going to feel about like you do now. There won't be no major changes, except you can get a feeling of stress, a feeling of anxiety if someone keeps telling you to anticipate the worst, to anticipate what's about to happen. Oh my God, there's nothing ever happened to this. This is the worst ever. And and you got your heart jumping out of your chest in anticipation because somebody who you might trust or believe in is telling you that the sky is falling. And we need to just calm down and check this one out, because Trump, what did they call him? No king. We don't want a king. No kings in America and all that stuff. How many kings do you know who take important items? And I said this before, education, now the medical systems for these Medicaid is going to be pushed back onto the states, so that the states who have a bunch of immigrants are going to have to pay for those immigrants out of their state budgets and not out of not with any help from the federal government. I agree with that. And the states that might come up a little short here and there, if they apply for some assistance or some help from the government, they'll have to look into them and see if they are a sanctuary city or if they're following the laws of the federal government, and then they qualify for the help. Because I don't think that any state should have the right to be a sanctuary city in a federal government that isn't. If this isn't a sanctuary government, federally speaking, then it's not a sanctuary anything on any other level. We all should follow those laws, and any federal laws should supersede state laws, but it's the other way around in most cases, is what it is. But I do believe that our federal government has to take the stand and take the right direction. And the right direction is something, whether you have a bunch of folks who agree with you or not, as a politician, your primary goal, your primary mission should be to give the best quality of life to the citizens of the people in the United States. And if any politician is voting or participating in anything that's taking us away from the higher quality of life and into something that's less, then shame on them. And they need to be voted out of office. The Democrats have not looked inward yet. They have not decided that there's a flaw, that there's a problem. These people keep getting up there and wasting our time, crying and whining, and immigration is at the forefront because this is the issue that Donald Trump is making the most movement on. He's doing a whole lot of stuff, but this one here is going to hurt some corporations, and they need to go to them. You need to sit down with these people and say there will be no fines imposed. I'm going to give you United States citizens to work for you. There got to be a way, if we can identify these people through their employment, to get them fast tracked to some citizenship. That's the humane and right thing to do without upsetting a whole bunch of the apple cart. to upset the part of the apple cart that can afford to pay, which is the corporation side of it, is fine. They just got to pay. They just got to accept the fact that their profits are gonna go down. Instead of them watching their fruit go rotten on the vine, they're just gonna have to pay a little more, and they're gonna get that fruit off the vine, but with some decency and some humanity and some different breaks, and making sure these people aren't out there dehydrating and passing out from heat stroke and whatever else, or that they're not too old or physically unfit to even do that kind of work in the first place. Somebody needs to be on the side of that immigrant coming into this country who choose to do that type of work and not forced to do it because of their immigration status. Like, comment, share, and please subscribe. And we'll see you on the next Black Popcorn.